on Sky News Australia. This is the Rita Panahi Show Overtime.
Welcome to a special Christmas edition of the Rita Panahi Show Overtime. We are ending 2023 with a bang, and don't ever let it be said that I don't listen to my audience. You've asked for it, and today we shall deliver a full program devoted to Lefties Losing It. I've cancelled today's interviews. The guests are gone, so I can bring you the gift of mocking the loony left. It's all they deserve, really. And you love watching it. Week in, week out, we are getting millions of views on Lefties Losing It content. But before we jump into that, let's just take a quick look at today's biggest stories with Sophie Ellsworth, media writer at The Australian. Sophie, thank you for being here. You're the only person who's allowed on this show today. The rest is just Lefties Losing It. So I hope you feel honoured by that. Now, we'll get to the astonishing antics of the activist judiciary shortly. The US is looking more and more like some sort of a banana republic, and the determination to remove the front runner from the ballot is intensifying every day. And it comes as Donald Trump records some incredible poll numbers among young voters. That even shocked me, but we'll get to that later. Let's start with local news and some Christmas news here. Council in Melbourne, Stonington Council, this is just pathetic antics from them. Look at the Christmas posters. Devoid of any mention of Christmas, make merry. What does that even mean? And let's have a look at how some residents improved these posters by crossing out the make and writing in Christmas under Mary. There we go. That's much better, isn't it? So if the council's not happy, they've said that they're disappointed by the vandalism and that their decorations were all about being inclusive and acknowledging the different celebrations held in December. But seriously, coming from a minority family, someone who's not Christian, they are not doing this on behalf of minorities. They're doing it on behalf of some lefty losing it. Let's be honest here.
Oh, Rita, look, I'd love to be down in Toorak, seeing those people with their white texters or, liquid paper going and writing Christmas over these signs. But this is just where things are taken too far. You're right, it's bowing to a minority, trying to please everyone, but in the end, offending a lot of people. Why can't we just say Merry Christmas and enjoy the festive season? And for those who don't celebrate it, that is okay too.
Well, it's completely okay, but those people, your ethnic minorities, aren't the ones who are offended by Merry Christmas. I can tell you it'd be some green-haired freak who was born and bred here and probably went to some private school. Let's move on to a shocking story. I hate to be even covering this story, but it's gone viral. This is a story from Perth, but people around the world are now talking about it because of the video clip that's been released of this dog owner, this woman who throws her tiny Maltese Shih Tzu off a two-storey shopping centre car park. The poor dog, well, it did survive the fall, but it had to be put down later because of its injuries. In a now deleted Facebook post, the woman said she did the dog a favour because, and I quote, "all I did was hurt her and abuse her." I mean, it's just a gross story, Sophie, but a lot of people, again, commenting around the world saying the sentence is manifestly inadequate. She got 12 months in prison. The judge said that it was a planned, deliberate and intentional act. I'm not one to normally defend the judiciary, but I will here because it is very rare for animal abuse cases to end in any sort of a prison term. So the fact that she'll be spending around 12 months behind bars, I think, is actually a lot better than a lot of people would have expected, and hopefully it sends a strong message.
Rita, there's something completely unhinged and very sick about that. When I was reading this story, you can't help but your stomach just curls over. It's just such a horrid story, but there's something obviously incredibly wrong for that woman to do something to such a, innocent little pooch. I love pooches.
Her own dog.
Love dogs, and I just feel any person who loves animals cannot feel anything but, utter sickness from this.
Oh, it's just, and I've written about this a lot, the connection between those who engage in animal cruelty and those who go on to commit horrendous acts against humans as well. The relationship there is quite established. But let's move on to this is one of your stories that's gone crazy. I somehow missed this because it was on SBS. That's probably why I missed it, because you know who's watching. But they've had to issue an apology at one of our taxpayer-funded broadcasters. They've issued this apology to Warren Mundine because of a exchange that happened with Marsha Langton, but it's not the exchange with Marsha Langton in particular that is the issue. It's the SBS host's role in that. The SBS Ombudsman found that during the exchange, host Nerelda Jacobs had unduly favoured Professor Langton. Well, let's have a look and you make up your own mind.
Fixing the problems that we have in Aboriginal
just going to interrupt you there because
I'm not going to sit here and cop lies from people.
Well, we're not going to sit here and take you abusing a national treasure like Marcia Langton, who never said that Australians were racist.
And you must accept.
And her words were twisted. I'm going to stop you there, Warren.
People make the decisions.
I think, well, we've just seen who Warren Mundine is.
Yes, that's right.
That is extraordinary. So she was supposed to be hosting that, not participating in the debate, but she seemed to be very much a participant.
Rita, this is Nerelda Jacobs, who is an Indigenous woman.
I thought she was on Channel 10.
And she's on Channel 10 too, and declares that she's not an activist. However, she was wearing a, vote, for the Voice referendum on referendum day. She said she supported the Uluru Statement. This is nothing short of disgraceful. I was actually watching this exchange live on the night of the Voice referendum count. Could not believe what I was seeing. Spoke to the SBS the next day, and they were left scrambling after getting 8 complaints about this, taking 2 months to investigate it. Now, Rita, I will point out they don't make these findings public. It was only that I was handed the findings by someone else about this, which is shocking. And Nerelda Jacobs has not said a word about her conduct, nor has she apologised, as far as I know, to Warren Mundine, nor has she been disciplined.
That is astonishing that anyone would talk to Warren Mundine in that fashion, but then to behave like that and say, I'm not an activist, I'm just an impartial news presenter completely down the line. Please stop insulting your audience. If you're going to engage in opinion, then label it accordingly. This audience isn't that stupid. And Sophie, you've just broken a story. As we speak, it's going up live on the website. That other taxpayer-funded broadcaster, the ABC, that gets over $1 billion of our money every year, they've got a saga unfolding right now.
They have. You can read about this on the Australian's website, Rita. So a Palestinian journalist for the ABC has put together a video talking about the BDS, the boycott program, where you boycott Israeli products. She's talked about this program, why it's so popular. She's offered no dissenting voices in the clip.
Wow.
And she's just talked about someone who is boycotting Israeli products, but offered no counter-argument to this. And what has happened is the ABC have removed the video, but they're yet to respond to why they have removed the video. But this is, again, another issue for the ABC and its conduct over the Israel-Gaza conflict.
Well, this is what happens when you've got activists masquerading as journalists. It just happens over and over again. And if they just balance the ledger a little bit, I could perhaps forgive it, because they are a public broadcaster. They operate from our taxpayer dollars, so they have got a legal obligation to be balanced, but it's all one-way traffic.
Exactly.
And they just deny it. They're living in delusion. Now, let's go to the international stories, because this is incredible stuff. The big news out of the US, Donald Trump being disqualified from the 2024 ballot by the Colorado Supreme Court. The former president's disqualification is related to the January 6 Capitol Hill riot. The court released a statement following the ruling on this decision saying, "We did not reach these conclusions lightly. We are mindful of the magnitude and weight of the questions now before us." Now, Trump has labelled the decision completely flawed. That's putting it lightly. This is Banana Republic territory, Sophie. This is just disturbing on a whole new level. I don't think it's going to stick, but it doesn't matter. You've got these Democrat-appointed activist judges who want to disqualify the front runner from the presidential election. It seems like every time a new poll comes out showing Trump doing even better, they come up with new ways to try to corrupt the process, to interfere with the process.
Well, Rita, doesn't this show that they will stop at nothing to try and stop Donald Trump from running? That is what is obvious here.
Yeah.
But I was listening to some commentary about this, which I thought was quite true. If people are going to vote for Trump or not for Trump, if he is to run, then let them vote him in or out. Let the public decide.
Well, that's the problem. They don't want the public to decide.
But let the voters let it vote. That's why we have a democracy. Clearly, they don't want that to happen because they're worried he may be elected.
Well, absolutely. If he was trailing in the polls, none of this would be happening. I am absolutely confident of that. We wouldn't be having all these ridiculous indictments. We wouldn't be having efforts to put him in prison, to remove his name from the ballot. Sophie, I think El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, put it best. He took to X and he posted, "The United States has lost its ability to lecture any other country about democracy." Absolutely right. If this was happening in some little nation, I don't know, in South America or Africa or Asia or anywhere, we would be condemning them. We would be absolutely condemning them, but it's happening in the United States of America. And California is now considering barring Trump from its primary ballot over 14th Amendment concerns. In a letter to California Secretary of State Shirley Weber, Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounakakis wrote, "Based on the Colorado Supreme Court's ruling, I urge you to explore every legal option to remove former President Donald Trump from California's 2024 presidential primary ballot." Incredible. Meanwhile, the latest New York Times Siena College poll that was released in the last 48 hours shows Donald Trump is leading President Biden among young voters. This is extraordinary. This is for the first time. We're talking about voters under 30 here, and Trump is leading 49% to 43%, Sophie. If this poll is accurate, it would be sending shockwaves through the Democrats, because that is one demographic that they just count on, the young voters voting Democrat.
Look, Rita, I'm always sceptical of polls, I must say that, because we've seen in the past they have been wrong. But you're damn right. If this is accurate, there would be a lot of people who are incredibly worried that Trump will be voted back in, and I think that terrifies them. So this is why it goes back to your initial point. They are doing everything they can to stop him from being able to run.
Absolutely. Now, iconic American actor, comic Jerry Seinfeld has visited Israel in a show of solidarity with the country's fight against Hamas and the rise in anti-Semitism around the world. The Jewish American star landed in Israel on Monday with his wife and children, meeting families of Israeli hostages still held in Gaza, as well as some recently released hostages. And it did not take long. Like clockwork, the loonies on the left are vowing to disrupt his programs, including his upcoming tour here in Australia. There's all sorts of Twitter X activity about this, Sophie. Do you think they're going to follow through with this? I mean, he is an iconic comic, much loved, very much a mainstream comic, is hardly sort of risque. Are they going to protest and scream at people, probably middle-aged people, trying to attend his shows?
Look, nothing would surprise me in this world of activism, Rita, but you're right. Like, Jerry Seinfeld is not really...
He's very vanilla. I mean, come on.
He's very vanilla. He's not an offensive character. So let's wait and see. But I wouldn't be surprised, Rita, going on, how these activists do operate.
Now, the mother of hostage, Naama Levy, has launched a desperate plea to have her daughter released by Hamas. She told CNN for her time is running out.
My voice may be soft when I speak right now, but the scream is inside me, and I don't hear the voices of the world loud enough responding to the scream. My daughter has been kidnapped by Hamas. Can you even begin to imagine that?
It's just heartbreaking, and that footage, I think it's burnt into the memories of so many people. That was one of the first bits of footage we saw out of October 7, and you just wonder what happened to that girl. What has she suffered? Is she still alive? And if it's done so much to people's emotions who don't even know her, you can hardly fathom how her mother's coping.
Oh, that's right, Rita. Just such an awful situation for her mother. And you're right, it's just one of those situations, even when you're not connected to it personally, it's so heartbreaking and shattering. And we've seen so many stories like this come out of what's going on in Israel, so truly shocking.
Now, Israel is urging the International Committee of the Red Cross to pressure Hamas to ensure access to the hostages still under their control. Their response, the Red Cross response, is it won't work. Have a look.
You have every avenue, every right, and every expectation to place public pressure on Hamas.
It's not going to work, because if the more public pressure we seemingly would do, the more they would shut the door.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
Yes, they would. They would with
Well, why don't you try it?
That does seem to be a very frustrating approach, that
It is.
it's not going to work. Well, why wouldn't you try it? Why wouldn't you try everything just to ensure the hostages are alive, they're being taken care of, that, you know, you've got some vital information for their families?
Of course, Rita. I do note that obviously it is a very tricky situation. You just can't go, you know, in like a bullet a gate. But wouldn't you try, you know, and
Well, I know that clip has caused all sorts of unrest in Israel. There's a lot of people who are just really unhappy. Perhaps the way it was expressed wasn't the best way it could have been expressed. But if there's a further explanation, then, yeah, we'd like to hear it. Now, let's go to Joe Biden, his disaster at the border, where a record 12,600 migrants were encountered by Customs and Border Protection officers in 24 hours. And that's just the ones that were encountered. Thousands of migrants are crossing illegally the Rio Grande River at the US-Mexico border. The numbers waiting to be processed are exploding. The backlog for immigration hearings is now past 3 million. That New York Post cover is from today, and I tell you, that front page speaks volumes. It's surrender. They're not even trying to address this problem. And it is a crisis, a rolling crisis that's been happening now throughout the Biden presidency. He has set records every year of his presidency for illegal immigration.
This is a real problem, Rita, and I think that's why perhaps even Biden voters will look back to someone like Donald Trump, who's tough on this and has a tough stance, because it appears that Biden has been completely asleep at the wheel.
Oh, well, when he came to the presidency, when he was campaigning, he rolled out the welcome mat. He said, come, and not surprisingly, they came. When you've got pull factors, you're going to have those sorts of issues. Now, finally, let's end on a happy note, because I know how much you love Meghan Markle. So I found this story where she's made a comeback to acting, people. Yes, she's appeared as an extra in an Instagram ad for a coffee brand she's invested in. Let's have a look at the ad.
I want to give a huge shout out to our amazing, clever team here at HQ. Without them, we are nothing. Our fulfillment crew, lovingly packing your lattes. They've been listening to Britney on loop since 2019. Our very smart, only slightly nerdy digital team, making sure the website doesn't crash again like it did last year. Finally, the glue that literally holds us all together. Our incredible, resilient fulfillment team that have helped make 2023 such a big success.
Wow. Okay. What do you make of that? It's got all sorts of reaction, mostly poor. I know what they were trying to do there, but Really?
Rita,
she made Prince Harry leave the royal family for that.
Look, I say this shows where her financial situation is, that she's now having to go on TikToks or social media posts for her business or ads. Her career has definitely taken a dive. But I will say this, to finish on a positive note, at least she's not attacking the royal family.
Well, not in that ad, because she doesn't get to speak. Maybe if she got to speak, she would have. But you would think if things were going well, the fact that her name is attached to a particular brand, people know she owns it or has some sort of investment in it, it would go gangbusters. But no, she's got to have some sort of a cute gimmick to actually push the brand. Sophie Ellsworth, always a pleasure. We'll see you again in 2024.
Thank you, Rita.
Let's start Lefties Losing It with these genuinely awful human beings, these ignorant, cowardly, masked girls who think Hitler would have let them live.
Shut your mouth, you big nose, poker nose. When someone is talking, you shut your mouth like the little that you are, and you stop talking. Hitler was a good man. Yeah, very good. What did Hitler ever do to you? Hitler. What did Hitler ever do to you?
He killed my family.
Killed your family. Long live Hitler. Hail Hitler. Hail Hitler.
Hitler would have killed you too.
Yeah. Only mistake he made is going to finish you all off. I hope you have a slow and painful death.
Hope you find peace.
Just hideous, hideous. What can you say about that? Thanks to Daniel Braun for posting that clip. Now let's go to the UFC, and Trump again made a rock star entrance. The crowd reaction is the same, whether it's New York for UFC 295 last month or Nevada for UFC 296 a couple of days ago. Let's have a look. But not everybody was happy. Poor Rosie O'Donnell is not coping.
Trump just arrived at the UFC 296, and I can't stand Donald Trump. And the one thing I hate about the UFC is that he ruins it every time he shows up. I mean, come on, Dana White, you got to do better.
Dana White did do better. He banned some TikTok dweeb calling himself Neon from attending UFC after the boy called Neon made threats about harassing Trump.
I'm gonna walk up, I'm gonna talk my to Trump, and then it's gonna be a very good experience. And I'm gonna talk my shit. I don't care if the Secret Service is there. I don't give a I'm gonna talk so.
Neon's not allowed in.
What?
They dropped your name specifically.
Huh?
They just dropped your name specifically, bro. They said Neon is not allowed in.
In the stadium?
Yes.
What?
He looks like he's 13. Oh my gosh. And Dana White was not apologising. Why would he?
He said some stupid on Instagram, and he bought tickets so he wasn't anywhere close. When you start saying stupid shit like that, yeah, you're probably going to get busted up and thrown out of here, making threats and talking dumb looking for clout.
I believe he said he was going to...
I don't care what he said.
I think he said he was going to confront Donald Trump. I don't
care what he said. Did he?
Well, he wasn't able to.
He's this f***ing tall, too. You know that? F***ing punk.
Now, let's go to a show called Coco Melon. I wasn't familiar with this program, but apparently it's the most popular show for toddlers, and it's never too early to ramp up the LGBTQIA plus indoctrination.
Thing that we know about you, you love to get up and dance. How about you break out those moves for your two biggest fans? If you're not sure what to choose, think about all the things you like to do. Just be you.
Just be me?
Yep. When you're trying to decide, think about all the things you like to do. Just be you.
Just be me.
I am so sorry you had to watch that. I feel bad for doing that to you, but my God, what is wrong with people who produce this content? That's what you want to show toddlers? Now to an indoctrinator from Illinois obsessed with gender, telling other teachers to be more obsessed with gender too. And as you watch this, just consider the fact that he is an elementary school teacher. We're talking about little kids here.
Teachers, make your classroom LGBTQ+ inclusive from the very first day. But this one's all about like classroom practice. Are you lining up your students into boy and girl lines? And remember, when you do that, if a kid doesn't particularly identify strongly with either of those, it makes them have to kind of choose something that isn't true to them. So find other ways to line up or group your kids. It could be by their student numbers, it could be by their birthday months.
What if I don't identify with my birthday month? What if my birth certificate says I'm a Pisces, but I feel like a Leo? Harshly stupid. Now let's talk about another indoctrinator here. We could just have a whole show devoted to this dude, actually. This is Jeffrey Marsh. Take it away.
Going no contact will feel worse. Can't lie to you. Because right where you are now, if you go no contact with a family member, you'll feel worse. Right where you are now, where the relationship is now, is in equilibrium. They get to do whatever the heck they want, and you deal with it. That's not pleasant, but that is a deal, that is a pact, and both of you understand the rules. If you go no contact, the rules change, you're unmoored, there's no sense of safety and sense of place. Because the rules change, you change them, but the rules and the dynamic changes, and what comes in sometimes to flood that void is guilt. But eventually, the guilt subsides, you work through it, you're kind to yourself, and on the other side of the no contact guilt scenario is peace. That has nothing to do with the deal you're in now with that person.
Now let's check in with the Queers for Palestine movement, or Chickens for KFC.
So why was it important for you to come to the protest today?
I came with Queers for Palestine. I'm a trans, non-binary person. I believe we're not free until everyone's free. Queer liberation, queer people live in Palestine. There's pinkwashing going on, and people are trying to tell queer people that they can't be part of what's going on in Palestine, and I just want to be here for queer Palestinians and for every Palestinians, because what's happening is this.
Oh, love, if you weren't so utterly ignorant and self-involved, you'd understand why people are mocking your movement, even those who are pro-Palestinian. Where were you when queer people in Palestine were fleeing to Israel to avoid brutal persecution? If you don't understand that radical Islam has zero tolerance for your lifestyle, then frankly, you're too dumb to be part of any discussion. But that hasn't stopped Queers for Palestine shutting down Manhattan Bridge.
KKK, IDF, you're all the same. NYPD, KKK, IDF, you're all the same. NYPD, KKK, IDF, you're all the same.
Now to one of the richest athletes in the world, the race-hoaxing Chinese Communist Party-loving NBA star LeBron James. Let's see how much respect he has for America and the anthem.
Broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fire.
So as everyone is standing, many with hands on their hearts, he's strolling in casually and taking a seat during the anthem. Pathetic. I bet he'd stand up for the Chinese national anthem. Now, let's go to Noah Tishby, one of the friends of this program, who is a warrior for Israel. And though she's off the left, she's what I like to call an old school lefty. They're still sensible. They can see the toxic, modern, woke left. And she's happy to call them out. Here she is at Berkeley telling a lefty losing it that he's actually a Zionist. That shut him up.
Did you know that only 31% of Israelis actually define themselves as of Eastern European descent, and all the rest are actually Middle Eastern descent? You're talking about the indigenousness of Israel. Do you understand that when you're saying Jews are white? Have you been to Israel?
You people don't have respect.
It's not you people. Don't discriminate. I'm a person. My name is Noah. It's not you people. Wait a second. Have you been to Israel?
No.
Okay, great, awesome. So when you go to Israel, I get it. Do you believe? But do you believe that the Jews have a right for self-determination as a state, in a state?
Yes, of course.
Okay, great. So you do believe that Israel has the right to exist?
Of course.
Great, then you are a Zionist. Welcome. Sorry. Don't be angry. It's true.
That's completely true. He's a Zionist. And there are so many people who are mouthing off about Zionism and Zionists. They don't even know what the definition of the word is. I suggest you look it up because you might find you're a Zionist as well. I'm a Zionist, proudly. Now let's go to Germany, where the climate cultists took out their rage on a Christmas tree. What? Yes, that tree was clearly asking for it. I'm sure the planet is saved now. We've not only seen an unprecedented attack against the frontrunner for the 2024 presidential election, we've seen the weaponization of institutions from the justice system to intelligence agencies. We've seen a sinister attack against free speech and democracy. And we've seen it from these people. This is what the kids call projection.
What would a second Donald Trump term look like?
Well, he cannot be the next president because if he is...
You can't imagine the things that he's going to do. Mexico, Canada. We can't go to Canada because eventually Canada will become annexed to America.
And shoot visitors to the White House. Yeah, that means he can shoot the First Lady.
We're going to see violence, the likes of which we didn't even see on January 6th.
Make it illegal to run against him, to throw his opponents in jail, to shut down the media.
He will make himself into the Fuhrer, and he will make everybody raise their hand and salute him.
Using martial law against the American people.
Terminate the Constitution.
To rewrite the Constitution.
Create mass internment camps.
Throw everyone into Gitmo.
Might be sent to jail, or their rights might be suppressed, especially minority groups in society.
You might have any number of things happen to you and your family.
Every one of us, our freedom, our liberty, none of us is safe.
It's going to have people around him executing against an enemy's list.
Assassinate generals.
Ordering troops to attack American citizens.
Talk about weapon-grade projection. Thanks to Tom Elliott for that compilation. Follow him on X. That compilation goes for a lot longer than what I've just showed you. Now, Hunter Biden, his woes continue to grow. Last Wednesday, refused to sit for a closed-door questioning by Republican lawmakers who are looking into his dodgy business dealings. He did make a defiant statement, though.
I'm here today to answer at a public hearing any legitimate questions Chairman Comer and the House Oversight Committee may have for me. I'm here today to make sure that the House Committee's illegitimate investigations of my family do not proceed on distortions, manipulated evidence, and lies.
I'm not sure, but I think something was done with that footage. But anyway, who can be sure about these things? Now let's go to another teacher obsessed with their own gender identity, talking about a student giving her gender euphoria. Ew.
I am a non-binary middle school special education teacher, and only my two paraprofessionals know that I'm non-binary, because that's not like a conversation I want to have with parents and admin right now. Anyway, one of my students said that I was a beautiful king the other day, and that was just so affirming. It gave me the gender euphoria. Have a good day.
You are not a king? No. Another celebrity lefty losing it, and I use the word celebrity in the loosest possible term here, but we've got Elisa Milano for you with a public service announcement.
Women don't inseminate themselves. Women don't inseminate themselves. Women don't inseminate themselves. Women don't inseminate themselves.
Thanks for that. Now, talking about who can inseminate and who can't, have you noticed there's been a rise in crimes committed by women, the sort of crimes women normally don't commit? Of course, many of these women share certain characteristics like being natural-born men. Here's the latest example, and good on the Daily Mail for at least noting in their headline that the accused here is a transgender woman. Normally the headline misses that detail and the story just refers to a female offender, a woman. Now this one calls themselves Abby Taylor. They're standing accused of dumping soiled adult nappies at children's nurseries and offences such as criminal damage by smearing excrement on milk bottles intended for consumption by small children. Woman, yeah, I don't think so. Abby Taylor, whose real name, as it appeared on the court list, is Martin Tarling, said that he prefers to be addressed as Taylor and prefers she, her pronouns. And of course, everyone has to respect that. I don't know about you, but what we just heard about there sounds like, I don't know, a mental illness that requires treatment, not validation and affirmation. Now, let's see what the Biden White House is up to and see how even the little things differ dramatically from the Trump era. Take the First Ladies and their Christmas celebrations. Now, watch this and see if you can note the subtle differences between Melania's and Jill's offering here. Of course, you'd remember we were told that Biden was going to be restoring decency to the White House. Let's have a look at how that's going. That doesn't even involve Hunter and his stash. This is Boston Mayor Michelle Wu defending racist Christmas gatherings that exclude people based on nothing other than their race. Talk about a lefty losing it.
I think we've had individual conversations with everyone so people understand that it was truly just an honest mistake that went out in typing the email field, and I look forward to celebrating with everyone at the holiday parties that we will have besides this one as well.
Besides this one, that would be the segregated party that excluded white people, that one, yes. Now to Germany, where students at a Berlin university attack a student putting up posters of Israeli hostages. Germans being anti-Semitic loons, we've come full circle.
Okay, gut, ich mache weiter. Es ist unsere Aufgabe, in diesen Zeiten müssen einen Widerstandsfront bilden, der aus bedingungsloser Solidarität geboren werden kann. Denn das Ausmaß zwischen imperialistischen Konflikten.
We've finally got an explanation of what happened with that BBC newsreader being caught giving the middle finger on camera.
Live from London, this is BBC News.
As I said at the time, it was funny. I don't know why people are so offended. Let's go to an important question now. Have you decolonised your veganism, you racist monsters?
products are unethical because I use leather, or people messaging me asking me to use vegan leather instead. And y'all, please stop. It is not more sustainable or ethical to use plastic over indigenous processed deer hide. If you want to live a life filled with environmentalism, then you need to look towards indigenous people, practices, and products. The vegan movement is so focused on the no animal rule that they're forgetting just how racist they're being.
Very important to be decolonising your veganism every day. Now let's hear from this totally sane and sensible soul. This trans activist just wants to stab people. What could go wrong?
Not to be like overly dramatic or anything, can we just start stabbing transphobes at this point? Like, we have such a big problem of transphobic people being f***ing idiots and not getting their shit kicked in. Can we just start kicking their shit in? It would be so much easier for everyone. The entire world would be so much better if we could just stab a transphobe. You say something transphobic, you get stabbed. The world would be beautiful.
Let's hear more about gender euphoria, or to be more accurate, mocking women.
Things that give me gender euphoria, but it gets increasingly more unhinged doing housework. There's just something that's so mommy-coded about destroying a mountain of dishes or like crisply folding laundry. Beating men. Not like physically beating men, but like winning against men in like sports or a video game or life itself. Also, the color green. I understand that colors don't have gender, but a good green, that's just for the girls, babe. Next, I'm gonna have to say crying. Before I transitioned, I was one of those girls-boys who like never cried, and now it's everyday like clockwork, and honestly, what is girlier than sobbing uncontrollably?
Time to check in with the far-left activists of Get Up, who have some thoughts on nuclear power.
We've already seen a handful of nations here at COP28 pledge to nuclear energy by 2050. Not cool, guys, literally. We've all seen Homer Simpson working at the nuclear plant, right? Or Chernobyl or Fukushima? Thankfully, the Albanese government refused to sign.
They were really quoting Homer Simpson in that series. Oh, wow. Lefties losing it about law and order while being racist and incoherent. Well, must be a day ending in Y.
There's a Hispanic-looking cop, a white cop, and a black cop. And you guys yelled another black cop, and you guys yelled cops and Klan go hand in hand. How does that work? Do you know how that works? Me neither.
Cops are racist, the Klan is racist, and that's all the more we have to say.
Cops are racist. Based on these cops, not these cops?
We don't have any more to say.
Yeah. You too?
We don't have any more to say, but they always do, don't they? And it's always the whitest dude or girl who's spewing that rubbish on behalf of us brown and black folk. Now I've got something for you, a little bit special. This isn't a lefty losing it. In fact, it's the opposite. It's someone who used to be off the left, and I think they've had their eyes opened. And what Joe Rogan says here is, it's worth listening to.
People that are afraid of Trump, they're like, he's a moderate. He's a moderate in this movement. And believe me, if you guys with him more, someone else is going to come along that's going to resonate with these people that realize they're getting and it's going to be just like what's happening in Argentina, where this guy gets elected and he's like, everything's got to go, and it's wild because people are very excited about that. There's a groundswell of people that are really fed up with this bull being implemented in all sorts of countries all over the world.
He's 100% right. All those people trying to interfere with democracy, trying to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. If you're going to not like what comes after Trump, just let the people make the choice and be grateful that at his heart, Trump is a moderate. You look at his policies, he is nothing like the ogre that the left make him out to be. Now, that's it for the Rita Panahi Show Overtime for 2023. We'll see you next year, bigger and better than ever. Merry Christmas to you all, and a special thank you to my executive producer, Chris Storr, who's come in on his birthday a couple of days before Christmas to do this program. I mean, he's a hero, a hero.